Welcome everybody to Clarington Public Library's Learning Ancestry Library Edition, Basic Search. My name is Carol Arsenault and I'm very glad you could join me today. A little bit about what we're going to be doing in this PowerPoint presentation. We're going to find out the answers to some did you know questions that I found interesting when I was investigating. We're going to learn a little bit about the differences between Ancestry Library Edition, which we'll be using, and Ancestry.com. And we will be going into how to do a very basic general search. So did you know that with Ancestry Library Edition, there are more than 750 million obituaries? There are billions of index names, thousands of databases that you can investigate, and it's free to use at your library. That's a major bonus. But it's not quite the same as Ancestry.com. Some of the differences from Ancestry.com are in the tabs. For example, the Family Trees tab, Collaborate tab, Learning Center tab, certain database collections, historical newspaper collections, passenger and immigration lists and indexes, and some others are missing from Ancestry Library Edition. So if you decide you're interested, you'll have to go to Ancestry.com for all those extra bells and whistles. So here we have a brief overview of what you can do from the home page on Ancestry Library Edition. There are several searches that you can do. You can go to the search tab and do a general search. You can search the census records. You can search vital statistics, that's births, marriages, and deaths. You can search military records. You can search immigration records, or you can search the card catalogue. But for our purposes, today we're just going to learn how to do a general search. So once you get to the home page from Ancestry Library Edition, if you click on the search tab, you will see a drop-down menu that gives you a link to all categories. That's the one that we're going to start on. So when you click that, you're going to fill in all of the basic information, and then we're going to click search and see what happens. So let's have a process. For our purposes today, we're going to be looking for my grandfather. Now, I don't know an awful lot about my grandfather. I do know his name was Sidney John Ludlow. I found out fairly recently that he was born in England. I thought for many, many years he was actually Scottish, but apparently not. And I think he was born around about 1902. I'm not sure, but that's my best guess. You'll also see beside the search button, it says show more options. So let's take a little look. And in there, it gives you a lot more fields that you can fill in. Now at this point, I don't know any more information. So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put his birth year in because, again, I'm pretty sure it was 1902 and I know he was born in England. So we'll put those in again. And then let's click the search button. And here we have our first set of results for Sidney John Ludlow. And you can see that that very broad search came up with 512,328 records. Wow, that's a little bit overwhelming. I'm not sure if I want to search through those. The first record to come up, Sidney John Ludlow was born in 1901 in Wiltshire, England. So, well, it could be him, but I'm not sure. So I think I'm going to go back to that search page and maybe add a little bit more information. So I remembered that when we clicked those more options, there was an option there to add gender. So I added in male. That's a fact I'm pretty certain about. And when I did my search, adding that in, it reduced the number of records returned to 411,893. That's still pretty overwhelming in my mind. So I think maybe I'm going to try and refine that a little bit before I start searching through these records. Although it is interesting to note that the first record in this search as well is the same as the last one. So this might be worth looking at. But before I do, I am going to make a couple of changes here. And you'll see just there on the top left-hand side, it says Sydney John, and then there's a sliding scale beside it. So I am going to make some changes on those sliding scales. So when you see this result, you'll see I put Sydney John over at an exact mark, Ludlow at exact, and England at exact. Those were the three facts that I was pretty sure about. And I got lucky because my 400 and some thousand records reduced itself to 9 records. This is way better. And you'll notice that the first record to show up is the same as the first record on the other two. Now, let's have a look and see what happens when we click on that record. So here we go. You can see there that it was Sydney John Ludlow, the birth date of 11th of June 1901, baptism date of 11th of August, baptism place Great Cheverel in Wiltshire, England. That looks as if it might be quite interesting. Might possibly be him. So I'm just curious to look at the original record. So you'll see there on the left-hand side, there's a little thumbnail of a picture with view on it. And if we click view, we can see the actual record. And I, for one, am really grateful that somebody has taken the time to put all those details into a more legible format, because I certainly could not have read that place of baptism was Great Cheverel. I'm not sure if you could have read that either, but there we go. So, what did we find out this time around? We got off to a good start. I did find a record that I think might be my grandfather. Nothing very conclusive, so I do think we're going to have to search a little bit farther. So next time, you can join me to learn how to narrow the categories down a little bit, and let's just refine that search a bit more. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.